How do?
What you said.
So, this is the long-suffering Mrs. Amy. We're going to talk a little bit about me being a prison officer and Amy being part of a family. How it affected her. I've got some questions for her. She's got some questions here. She's taking this quite serious. She's been writing them down this morning. I've no idea what she's going to ask. It is Sunday morning. First question for you: are you a morning person?
No. I'm on my 4th cup of coffee. Advertising the cup, real porridge. Available in all.
We've closed the merch store. We're going to start a new one. But
You closed it?
yeah, we're going to do it better. Okay, guys. So first thing is, we're obviously still together. We've been together a long time. I'm going to talk very briefly about our move to Manchester. How it was a massive thing. So we got a very big van, didn't we?
Yeah.
We moved ourselves. Amy's mum and dad, is it fair to say, weren't happy, or is that?
They were definitely not keen.
Definitely not keen. Had they accepted me at that point?
No.
Okay. In case it's not obvious, because obviously I'm very young looking, as is Amy. There's 20 years difference between us, so can understand a bit of a shock for her family to start with, and they were still getting used to that. And then we announced we were moving to Manchester. Yeah, so difficult thing. Day of the move, big van, moved ourselves. I won't tell you where we moved to in Manchester, because obviously people live there, and some of the people who lived there were nice people. However, it was a bit of an experience. We moved in on the day. I backed the van up to the front door of our new house. Nice house, weren't it?
It was lovely.
Happy with that. 3-bedroom house, downstairs toilet. The rent was affordable. Backed the van up, unpacked. By the time I'd unpacked, people, maybe 11 o'clock in the morning, were bringing their settees and deck chairs out onto the road, their front lawns, and they were drinking special brew and the like. They were still in their shall we say, dressing gowns and gym jams, which was a bit of a surprise. The first night we laid in bed. Yeah, been a busy day. There was a fight under our bedroom window. The next door neighbour got battered by 3 of the neighbours from down the road. Do you remember it?
He'd only just told us, didn't it, day before?
Yeah. Well, no, that day, because we'd moved in. We had a chat that day, didn't we?
And
or was this?
No, he was saying that, you know, they're a tight unit and they're a tight neighbourhood and they all stick together and,
yeah,
you know, they all have each other's back. And then he got battered, didn't he, by
yeah, 3
whoever
of them.
down road.
Yeah, it was a mess. That's how it started. It didn't get any better. So I'm just going to ask you a few things and you can just say yes, no. At some point, did my tyres get slashed on my car?
Yes.
That was nothing to do with me being a prison officer, nothing to do with me. It was a dispute between somebody and one of our neighbours. Did, at some point, both neighbours, either side, doors get knocked in with sledgehammers and gangs of machete-wielding thugs?
Yes. And left hand side, their house got set on fire, didn't it? Because the windows were through, weren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All our back gardens got set on fire at some point. One of the neighbours, we got a new neighbour, had a dog that barks all day. I think it was probably a week after they moved in. You said to me, is somebody letting fireworks off?
No, I says, what's that light at the back door? And you said it's not a light, it's fire.
Yeah. All the fence was on fire. Me and the neighbour put that out. Do you remember the cars in the middle of the night? We're looking, peeping through the curtains, 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 cars, all guys get out, charging house next door. I did phone the police.
He asked me, he says, shall I phone the police? I'm like, you think?
They did phone back. They wanted to come and interview me on the street. Yeah, it's not happening. Told them I was a prison officer. You know, my concern when I phoned the police was house opposite had about 3 kids, at least 3 kids living there. 6 months of hell, really. Was it not?
And some.
And some. Testing times, weren't it?
Very.
Did we have a laugh?
Yes.
Yes, we did. That's important, guys. And on the final insult, the housing association we were renting off, I had a chat with a guy who says we're leaving, can't deal with this. He knew why. We owed rent, he just sacked that off. The day we moved, Amy and one of our friends, missuses, while me and my mate moved, went to the house we were moving to, yeah?
Yeah.
When we did our first trip, on returning, somebody broke in the house and took all our electricals. That's as we're moving out, middle of the day. We have drove down there a couple of times, haven't we? And how did
fast.
How did it make you feel?
We went down there fast and got out there fast.
Just to look, didn't we?
Just to look.
You know, it was a bit of a...
Yeah.
But then we moved to Walkden, Emmeline Street, back of the Stocks pub. Those of you that know Walkden, and you'll definitely know Stocks pub. There was a lot of lads I knew, shall we say, drank in there, frequented it. So, I'm going to let you ask me some questions now. I've got no idea what's coming.
But I didn't put them in order.
It don't matter, I do appreciate your time. She has taken a bit of effort, guys. Fire away.
Okay. Right. Do you think that you got enough support in the prison service as a family? If the answer's no, give an example. If the answer's yes, would you still be there?
Right, support in the prison service. There's no support. There's lots of people follow me who've gone into the job, serving officers and people who used to work in the job. There's no support for staff. My mates, you knew some of them. Interesting enough, that's an interesting film. When I mentioned PK, who I did the questions with the other day, right? Early on, he invited me and Amy to his wedding. I hadn't known him long, and I think one of the problems early doors were I was talking about people and you had no idea who they were. We went to PK's wedding. We met KK, one of my managers, Brad is one of my managers, and all the people I work with. So that made you feel better, didn't it, first of all? But you get no support, guys. When eventually I got injured and I was on the sick, got no support. I supported my colleagues the best I could. My managers, well, I said colleagues, they were friends. I supported a lot of friends. I supported people who left the job after me who were struggling. We know what we're talking about, don't we? We hadn't seen him for a while. He was a good lad, he struggled. So yeah, when you get in there, you'll make friends, good friends. Probably not a lot. They support network, guys. So yeah, good first question. No support. Yeah, of course.
Okay. Do you think prison service took advantage of your good nature?
Definitely. I've always been one of them people. Okay, very cliched this. Every job I've ever done, but the prison service more so because it is a demanding job. People will look at the staff, and if there's a situation, might be one of those bum twitching situations or whatever, they will look and they will pick the strongest staff. I don't necessarily mean the biggest, you know, they will pick strong staff. So like when I was on K-Wing, we were always getting kitted up for control and restraint situations. Staff, equivalent staff, as well trained as us, as experienced as us, would be stood on the sidelines and we'd be getting kitted up. There was a lot of situations where people phoned me up, they were struggling for staff. Sam, will you do this escort? Will you extend and cover the ED, evening duty? Through my career at Strangeways and Forest Bank, right up until Strangeways, my last 6 months, I always said yes. And people knew they get that. You could see them, they'd come in a room, they'd look. Hospital escort, dangerous prisoner. Sam, will you be IC of this escort? And I'm not bigging myself up. There were other people that got put on as well. So quite definitely took advantage of things, yeah. Is that all right?
That's fine.
Another good question. Just take a swig of my green tea with lemon. Go on, love.
Another?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think the time that you put into the prison service, the hours that you spent there, was worth it?
Quite definitely not.
I haven't finished.
Oh, sorry, go on. Go on. Go on.
Were worth it with the impact it had on the family?
No. It's very easy. Don't do hindsight. On reflection, looking back now, I did a stupid amount of hours, didn't I? We always had cars, shall we say, older cars. I always had them serviced and looked after them. So we didn't have material things, not that they're important. But certainly the extra money I earned, just piss it up wall if I had a couple of days off, which weren't every week, was it?
No.
We'd just probably go on sesh, spend it on whatever, didn't we? So there's so much to think about these guys. I mentioned the other day a couple who will be breaking up. Sadly, the last in the relationship is with a prison officer. She hoped that was going to be her future father of her kids and everything, and it's gone tits up. And this is something you have to bear in mind if you're going into a job. And everyone who's asked me for advice, other than saying, you know, be yourself, don't try and be something you're not, because that is stressful. Be humble, yeah, and you have to give people, you know, give them a chance, give them a bit of respect. You need to check back with your family. You certainly do. Lots of hours, lot of A shifts. A shifts in the prison service is 7:30 while 9. Me, I would always go in at 6:30 because you couldn't get early starts to relieve the night shift. So I'd get up at 5, usually asleep. I'd leave the house at 6, get back in 9:30 at night, maybe a phone call in day. Never saw nothing for it, and obviously, as we will find out, it impacted on you quite a lot. Another good question. Come on. Come on. You have thought about these, haven't you?
I've got an headache.
Yeah, come on.
So in book I've said that I didn't know that if our relationship were going to be strong enough.
Yeah.
Did you ever question
that? Did I question our relationship? Right, obviously in that job as well, it causes, from both points of view, I weren't understanding what Amy were going through. You know, I'm not thinking she's on her own a lot, bringing up our daughter. Equally, I wouldn't expect her to understood some of the stuff that I was going on with, because, well, how would you? A lot of people I speak to me because they say I can't talk to anyone else. People don't understand my family. So, no, I didn't think of the impact. And the relationship, I think we all do the same. When we have ding-dongs, we're like an hand grenade going off us. Bam! Yeah, go away. And then 30 seconds later, can't be asked. But I've got to admit, when we lived at Walkden, I did think, is this our life? You know, me doing stupid hours, getting pissed, takeaways. You know, it was no existence at all. I did think about that. You know, I never thought we'd get out of that. So, does that answer your question? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, next, please. Do I have to keep saying next, or do you think once I finish you can just carry on?
I'll just carry on.
Okay.
If you could go back, would you do things differently? So if you could go back, things happen for a reason, and you create your own path. You know, you've got your own path, and you're going down that path for a reason to get to where you are now.
Yeah.
Would you go back and change anything, or would you do things exactly the same, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now, I leave it as it is. I think it was a very testing time. You could think of it that, particularly at Walkden, you know, them 5 years we had no existence. It tested our relationship. However, because of where we are now, I think we appreciate things more. You know, all I ever wanted was some security. We will have that when I'm 70 and we pay the mortgage off. But no, I wouldn't, because probably never have written the book. You know, when I look where we are now, I think in some cases, not everybody's what doesn't kill you does make you stronger. Some people, you know, don't come out the other side of stress and stuff like that. I appreciate that, but no, I've got to say I wouldn't change anything.
So for families that are still in the situation that we were in, what would you tell them or advise them?
I certainly, the hours and everything, you've got to decide in life what's important. Because I know we're still together, that's why I wouldn't have changed anything. But people who maybe are looking at their loved one who's in, a guy messaged me the other day, his missus is in the job. He says she talks like you do, Sam. And I just said, look after her, mate, and maybe at some point, you know, you need to sit down and look whether she needs another job. You've got to weigh it up, haven't you? It is a difficult job. It does bring its stresses, and I think people get lost in it as well. Not me so much, you know, you were always the important one, but some people, you know, have social groups and they end up ruining the relationship because that social group, you know, play hard, work hard bollocks becomes more important than the family. I've seen that. That's quite a complex answer, but you know, if your loved ones are in job, you know, just, you need to talk and sit down, and if it's going tits up or you're drinking, and yeah,
you need to listen.
You need to listen to people, definitely. Just have proper heart to heart about it, you know. Yeah.
Are you glad that you got injured?
Now, yeah, I am. I think, bearing in mind, I had a heart attack 2 weeks ago, and when I got injured and I went to the doctor, so this is end of 2015, I weren't in a good place mentally, which I didn't realise. Did you realise I weren't in a good place mentally?
I think I know before you did. Okay.
But certainly physically, my physical health was shite. And I think if I hadn't got injured, you know.
Do you think that were your saviour? That you got injured, and so that were your cue to get out?
It was.
It saved you.
It did, yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's it. Done. It did. It took me a while. You did not want me to go back straight away. When I got my first sick note, you just said sack it, didn't you? Me, it probably took me, even though I weren't well, physically and mentally, 6 months. No, maybe 4 months. And then I decided won't go back. Yep, go on then. Good questions, by the way. I'm impressed. Come on.
Okay.
If this helps one person or some people out there, then it's a good thing to do.
Do you think you were a good partner and a good dad while in the prison service? Is that a fair question?
Yeah, it is, yeah. A good partner. You'd be better at answering that. Just hang fire. I'll explain what I mean to that. Obviously, you know, I thought trying to go. We always had a laugh, didn't we?
Yeah.
You know, it weren't all doom and gloom. You know, there were a lot of stress, but we had a laugh, didn't we? As far as being a dad,
and I think that was key, weren't it?
Yeah,
that you had to have a laugh, even if things were, you know, going downhill, and you laughed about it, because there's nothing else that you could have done about it.
No,
you know, it were
no, that thing, you know, that is a strong thing. As far as being a dad, right, I'll tell you now. When we lived in Walkden, 5 years, so like I've already told you, we're up at 5, out of the house for 6. So our daughter, very young still then, and was in bed every night when I got home. When I did have days off, which weren't regular, I felt, you can say what you think about this after, I felt that Billy, our daughter, sort of, I was sort of getting in the way of her and mum. When I did have days off, I always knackered. Your mum said this, didn't she, after reading the book? Amy's mum said after reading the book, you know, she always thought I was a miserable get. She didn't mean it in a bad way, but she understood that when she did see me, stress, being tired, you know, so your days off aren't really days off, you're just knackered. I was super knackered.
Up, aren't you?
Yeah, so, and then I'd try and instill discipline in Billy, you know, after not seeing her for 6, 7, 8 days at a time, and it just caused friction, which obviously upset our lass here. So it's not that I was a bad person, a bad dad, just weren't there. Which, abandonment, you know, there is people who grow up with abandonment issues and it can affect them mentally and stuff like that. So it's not a good job if you've got young kids. If you're putting hours in, I put too many hours in. If you're doing your bare hours, you know, but they're still not family friendly shifts. As far as us, well, what? I'll ask you that question. Was I a good partner when I was in the prison service?
I'm gonna say yeah, because I think the job made you blind to what were in front of you over time. I think that you went to work with good intentions of providing for the family, but you lost sight.
Just let the plane.
I know the plane is over us.
Just let the plane disappear, guys.
Tell me when.
Is it coming back? I think it's taking the piss. Is it circling? Come on, fuck off.
Right, it's gone.
Right, alright, love, go on. So, you said I was blind, go on.
Yeah, I think your job made you blind to what were in front of you. I think that you went to work with all best intentions of providing for the family while I looked after our daughter and that. But over time, you know, I think you should explain, you know, when you used to ring me up. So he used to ring me up and tell me what sort of day it had, what sort of mood he's going to be coming home with. So I was prepared. You know, if you'd had a bad day, you know, you used to ring me up, didn't you, and say, you know, I'm not in the greatest mood. You know, I've had a bad day. That were my cue for when he walks through that door. I were aware, and it were like walking on eggshells, really, on them sort of days where, you know, you'd do your best in the home. You know, you'd make sure you'd you know, everything were.
Tell them about the day when you did everything
Were
and cooked
nice
the
for
meal.
when you came home and.
Tell them about the day in the book when you did all the house, got the meal ready, and I come home stinking of
shit.
Yeah, tell them what was, you know.
So, you know, I'd cleaned all the house. I'd cooked.
Had I got a day off coming? Was I off?
I'm not
Probably.
sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure, but I remember I remember that you rang up that day saying that you'd had a bad day.
Yeah.
So I made sure that all house were nice and tidy, all nice and clean. I'd cooked. I mean, my cooking's not the best, but I'd cooked. You know, I'd laid everything all out, didn't I? So it were nice and relaxing for when Sam got home. Did you knock at the door?
Yeah.
And I opened it.
Yeah.
And I just had this whiff. It was just a whiff of shit, really, weren't it?
Yeah.
And you came in and, well, you undressed, didn't you? At bottom of stairs. Yeah. Bottom of stairs. You were in a really foul mood.
Yeah.
You sat there. You went and got changed. You went and got washed. You came back. You sat there on the sofa. You were just not in the mood to talk. You weren't in the mood to eat. You weren't. Everything that I'd done that day, you know, back then, I were pretty like
good.
Yeah, because I'd really made an effort.
Yeah.
You didn't even acknowledge us really that time. You know, that particular time, didn't acknowledge us. You didn't. You know, you were that way out. I'm painting you to be a right baddie, you know.
You've got to be honest about it.
You know, it were horrible, you know. And then you just went. I don't think you did have a day off after, because I'm sure you went back to work next day. But it were becoming more regular, weren't it?
Yeah.
That you know, them were days then, you know, towards you know, before you got injured and that, those were the days at home that you'd come home, and it were more bad days than good days.
Let me ask you, so staying in Walkden just briefly, so you spent a lot of time on your own? Long days. My long days, your days were longer.
So because I'd moved from Sheffield, I'd come up to Manchester. I didn't know anybody in Manchester. I didn't have no friends. I didn't have no friends in Manchester when I'd only just moved. So you know, I were on my own. I were with our daughter. Sam work long hours. You know, I were. Did you envy some of the people I work with because I spent more time with them? No, I were more angry. I think they took advantage. I think that you know, even when you were ill, not feeling your best, or if we weren't feeling good, you know, there were no support there. I were quite angry with certain staff that used to phone you, knowing the situation, knowing that you might not be feeling very well that particular day. I'm losing my voice.
We don't mean to do that, do we?
No. You know, and they knew that you'd go in. So
when we moved to Little Oldham next, City West Housing Association property, way more affordable, weren't it?
Yeah.
The idea being that just cheaper living, so maybe won't do as many hours. Why was Little Oldham better for you than Walkden?
Neighbours.
Neighbours were amazing, weren't they?
Yeah, the Neighbours were, you know, at that time I had a couple of friends, didn't I?
Yeah.
The Neighbours were amazing, you know.
They were friends.
They were. They became friends
very quickly.
You know, I think we moved in, and then I think a day later, Neighbours brought round some flowers, didn't they?
Yeah.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
Brought round some flowers. They used to have an allotment, so they used to bring us like fresh veg and fruit and stuff like that. And then other side, they were lovely. We used to go out, you know, go round and have a drink. And
Terry,
yeah, you got really friendly with Terry, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know, there were that
So
helped a lot.
Walkden, very quiet. As a prison officer, it was all right. Come out in my uniform, could have worked in uniform, no mither. Little Alton, I still did the same, but there were more people around, weren't they?
There were more people around, and also, you know, I'd got myself a job, didn't I, at Little Alton?
Yeah.
I'd got myself a job. I went into care. So things were much better, and it weren't. I didn't feel isolated. Didn't feel on my own anymore. You know, I'd created a good group of friends there. You did your thing, didn't you? I did my thing.
Were there a lot of lads around there that I knew?
Yes.
That were locked up? Yeah.
Mr. S. Mr. S.
I lived on Precinct, me in Little Alton. We were a bookshop, you could see it. Lads would be like, what are you doing round here, Mr. S? I live here, that's my car, that's my garage, there's my motorbike, please don't break in. We're all good, you know. I had no fear living around there at all, because I always got on with people and treated them right. Okay, so I got injured. I was off 11 months, finished. That 11 months were quite stressful, I would imagine, for you, because... I
think that was most stressful.
I would say extreme anxiety, which read short-tempered, nasty, angry, road rage. Remember when I nearly pulled the steering wheel off? Yeah, because someone tried to push in who I knew. Tough times, weren't it?
Very tough. Yeah.
However, that's all in the book. What did you think? Now we're coming to an end now, guys. Hopefully I'll get her back on at some point. When you read the book, or did you listen to it on Audible?
Audible.
Yeah. When, you know, what did you think? Not right, forget I'm your partner. If you'd have listened to that book, yeah, what would you have thought? The prison officer bit, which is obviously relevant.
Could
you relate better? Did you understand, you know, why I'd come home moody or whatever?
It was quite difficult because you know, reading book, I'd lived that with you.
Yeah, true.
So, you know, I understood why you came home. You know, might not be in best of moods. But I also had a lot of frustration, you being in that job as well. So I think that it's hard because, you know, listening to that book, you know, I remember listening to it, and, you know, it were more where we are now to where we were then. You know, it feels like a million years ago. You know, it's hard. It's hard. It's an hard question. It's an hard question to answer.
It is. I've got one more question, and then we'll sign off. Yeah.
Go on.
Your first little venture into the channel. Same question you asked me. Would you change anything?
No.
Because we're still together and where we are now.
I think that we had, I think, like I said before, you know, your path's already chosen for you, and you're going down that path for a reason to get to where your destination is. You know, I think we've reached a good destination now, and, you know, without what's happened before, we wouldn't have got here, and we wouldn't be that strong. You know, I don't think anything. We are quite, you know, we're quite unbreakable, aren't we?
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, there's nothing that could break us. You know, it's...
Well, if you made me sell my motorbike, I won't be happy. I'm kidding.
I did that.
I'm kidding. Yeah, you have. I have done that in the past. Yeah, true.
If you didn't make me coffees.
Yeah, true. All right, guys.
Yeah.
So this is our last. This is Amy. I hope it paints a picture what the job was like, what it's like being a partner of someone in the job. I've read the comments. we're going to go for the second channel. First channel, long content, interviews. Sister channel, that sounds good, doesn't it? Clips from the interviews for those people, you know, you guys who don't have a lot of time. 10-15 minutes just getting insight into people's lives. Hope you're having the best weekend possible. For me, I'd like to thank Amy, like I thank everyone, for her time and making an effort with the questions. Al said it. I'm going to leave the final words to you.
Can I have a coffee?
Yeah. See you later, guys.
Bye.
Cheers.